have to at one point.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much. We're now going to move on to the at-large 9 seat. Everybody, please hang in there. Believe it or not, we are on schedule. This will be the last panel, and it should take about another 15 or 20 minutes. And so again, hang in there. If you need to stretch up and walk around a bit, feel free. With us today are Jason Esteves, who's an attorney, Dr. Lori James, and Mary Louise Palmer. Based on the drawing, Jason, you will be first in providing an opening statement. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much. Thank you all so much for sticking around. Please tell your friends that left early about us, and hopefully the next forum will go first. My name is Jason Esteves. I'm an attorney and former public school teacher. And I'm not going to rehash the issues that all of you have heard over and over again. But I know that each one of you in this room know that we have a public education system in this city that does not match the greatness of this city. On November 5th, we have the opportunity to change that. We have the opportunity to elect a brand new school board and hire a brand new superintendent. This does not happen often, folks, and I do not want to waste this opportunity. We have the opportunity to elect a school board that is going to hire a compassionate superintendent that is going to empower our school leaders, that is going to empower our teachers, that is going to empower you, the community. We have an opportunity to elect a school board that's going to pass a budget that focuses our resources to the classroom by ending furlough days, by giving teachers pay raises, and by giving schools the autonomy they need to succeed. We have the opportunity on November 5th to get a school board that will be open, honest, and accessible. On November 5th, I'm asking for your vote because I know together we're not going to let that opportunity go to waste. Thank you.
Dr. James, 2 minutes.
Good evening. I too want to thank you all for staying here. It is almost 9:30, but I am going to make this brief. I want to introduce myself to you. My name is Lori James, and there are several people that are familiar faces to me in the audience, and so I really want to thank you all for being here. I am running for Atlanta School Board at-large, seat 9, because I have the audacity to believe that I can help make a difference for the students of Atlanta Public Schools. And I have that audacity because of my experience and because of what I am doing. I am an educator, have been an educator for over 20 years. I left Atlanta Public Schools 3 years ago with early retirement, and I have been moving across the United States, training teachers on how to teach our kids. I am an author. Several years ago, when the inclusion rage was in progress and we were scaring our special ed teachers into thinking that they weren't going to have a job, I wrote a book entitled Inclusion, Metamorphosis, or Masquerade. And I went across the country training teachers, general ed and special ed teachers. I am also a professional developer. As I mentioned, I go across the country training teachers on how to do their job better, as well as work with school districts. I believe that in order to make this school district the best that it can be, that we have to be a school district that enlightens our students, that we stir up their imagination, and that we are able to help them to be the best that they can be. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Palmer.
Good evening, everyone.
My name is Mary Palmer, and I am absolutely delighted to be here this evening to share who I am and my vision for being on the board with you. I am Mary Palmer. I am a business professional. If you look at my past, you'll find that I have worked for several Fortune 100 companies like IBM, Coca-Cola, Siemens. It was actually Coca-Cola that moved me to Atlanta back in 1985. But I'm also a wife of a loving husband who encourages me every day to get up and continue to serve the students of APS in this great city. I thank him for that. I'm a mom of 3 graduated honor students of APS who would tell anyone that I am parent volunteer OD, because I OD on volunteering for our schools and serving our schools and our students. I'm a community and a child advocate. I'm a parent leader. I have done much to educate and inform and show parents in the community how important education is in this city. I want to be one who gets the city education right for our students, because I know that when we get education right, we will get our city right, because we have 76% of our students which come from poverty homes. If we get our city right, I know that we will have a win-win situation, because being a businesswoman, I understand what education does to the economic value of our city when our students graduate and don't have to be remediated. How do we do that? We do that by being prepared. We get prepared by creating very well-rounded students. My 3 children and the hundreds of students which I've worked with as an academic coach, they are well-rounded. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll now turn to the first question. Dr. James, you'll be first. What qualities, experience, or position on specific issues are you looking for in a new superintendent?
First, I think we need to have a superintendent who has experience, a superintendent who has been a superintendent before. Atlanta Public Schools at this point does not need a superintendent who comes to the job requiring on-the-job training. We need a superintendent who has worked in a population similar to Atlanta Public Schools population. We also need a superintendent who has proven integrity. A superintendent who knows how to balance the budget, but we also need a superintendent who is capable of working together with a school board. A superintendent who does not dictate what is to happen, but a superintendent who works collaboratively. One of the things that has been missing from our school superintendents for years has been a superintendent with a vision. We need a superintendent who can see beyond their contract, a superintendent who can see what's going to happen at the end of the day for our students. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Palmer?
I think that we should have a superintendent, one that comes to the system already prepared to understand who APS is, what the students of APS is. One that I would like to see a superintendent where we really don't have to tell that superintendent how to do his job. As a matter of fact, our system has spent a great amount of time putting together a wonderful strategic plan. I would like to see us look at candidates who really go through that plan before they come to the interview table, and then come to the table telling us how they would implement that strategic plan to move our school system forward.
Mr. Zevis?
We need a superintendent who can effectively run a large organization, but I think it's more important to have a superintendent who understands the diversity of Atlanta. We need a superintendent that's going to be compassionate and understand the role of you, of many of you as parents, of teachers, of school leaders. We need a superintendent that is going to come into the school system and be transformational, be inspirational, and make sure that at the end of the day, we are focusing our resources on what matters, and that's our kids. And to be honest, we probably shouldn't be looking for a superintendent who's looking for this job. We need to be looking for someone who is doing amazing things in other school districts around the country, and that we need to recruit to come to this city.
Thank you. The next question will be for Ms. Palmer. During this past budget season, class size issues was a major issue. What are your thoughts on maximum class sizes, and if you feel it's a problem, what would you do to address it?
As stated by so many earlier this evening, there's no doubt that small class sizes produce an opportunity to educate our children more effectively. But however, we do need to realize that just small class sizes alone would not do that. We can see that with the fact that Bill Gates, afforded us many millions of dollars in order to transform. We need to make sure that we have effective teachers in the classrooms, teachers that are educating our kids. We need to make sure that our system is giving those teachers the tools and the training that they need to educate our students.
I think it's an issue, but I also think it's an issue that should be resolved on a school-by-school basis. This is part of empowering our school leaders and empowering our schools to do what they think is best. Because not all schools in the system are operating the same. Not all the schools in the system need to adjust their classroom sizes. Let me give you an example. In this school, Bolton Academy, the school leader should have the autonomy to focus on what she believes is important. For example, the IB program. Because this school system is dictating how this school spends their budget, the PTA has to fundraise for things that the school system should be able to pay for. That's something that should change, and I hope to change that this coming election.
Let me answer that question by telling you a story. The past several years, I've worked with Georgia Learning Resource Services, which is the special ed umbrella of the Department of Ed. Last year, I had the opportunity to, although I had visited every school in the district over the course of my working here, last year I went into Grady High School, and I was observing classes, co-taught classes at Grady High School. And of course, as I observe, I take notes. One class I went into to observe, and we typically try to sit in the back of the classroom. I went to the back of the classroom to try to sit, and there were 38 students in this classroom. As I got up, my pants tore because I snagged them on the table because the tables and chairs were so close together. After reviewing my findings with the principal, his response to me was, I have tried to reduce the class size, but the district won't let me because of the number of students. The class size is too big in some schools, and they need to have the ability to address it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. The next question will be for Mr. Stanton. APS has a budget of over $700 million. What's your experience managing budgets? And do you have any concerns regarding the current budget process at APS?
There are a lot of concerns with the budget process of APS. My experience lies on the various boards that I've been involved with. I've been involved with the Charter School Board. I've been involved on the board of several nonprofits where I have fiduciary duties to that nonprofit. As an attorney, as a business litigator, I deal with a lot of issues relating to financial troubles and know how important it is to make sure our resources are going to where they should be going. The budget process in APS, as evidenced by this last cycle, is flawed. We need a budget process that is open, transparent, and allows the community, and board members for that matter, to have input. We need a superintendent that understands that they need to work with the school board to pass a budget that works for the school system. We have the opportunity to do that in this coming election.
Thank you. Dr. James, I think you're next.
The budget process in Atlanta is one that I have observed for several years. And it hasn't gotten any better. It is a process that takes a short period of time, but is expected to do a lot of work. And we don't do it well. The budget process, I believe, should start as soon as the current budget process ends. We have to look at what's going on in each of our schools. We also have to look at where the problems are concerning the budget. We have to look at compliance issues. We have to look at where we're spending our money. And if we can cut out some of the things that we are unnecessarily spending money on, for example, when you have one place where you can purchase certain things, even though you may be able to get it cheaper somewhere else. We need to look at a lot of things with the budget. And to answer your question, yes, I have been responsible for budgets in the city.
Thank you very much. Ms. Palmer?
Yes. My background, like I said, I'm an IT infrastructure engineer. As being an engineer working for Fortune 100 companies, I've been responsible for bringing in much software and hardware into the organization and making sure that we talk with vendors and got the best price for that. Those budgets really topple more than billion-dollar budgets. But more importantly, I've sat through, over the last 3 years, just about every budget meeting that this board has had to undertake. And I watched the process, and I've looked at where we had reserves, and I see now we barely have enough reserves left in order to take care of personnel for another year in an emergency. We really do have to look at the different areas in which we can improve. Like I said, being a technology person, I watch technology. I've seen us spend over $78 billion several times. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll now move to the last question, and the first person to respond will be Dr. James. A number of candidates are talking about giving principals more authority and responsibility for decisions at their schools. What are your thoughts on the concept of decentralization?
Decentralization or site-based management has been discussed over several years. There's actually a policy on the books regarding site-based management. But that policy is a very basic policy. I think the first thing that the board needs to do is revisit that policy. Schools need to have the autonomy to spend the money the way they see fit. What is necessary in one school may be totally unnecessary in another school. But somehow we seem to give the schools what we think they need. We need to allow principals to be able to determine what is best for their school along with their team leaders. We need to have a clear understanding of what site-based management is. We allow the principals to do some things, but we tie their hands with others. If they're going to have management for their schools, it needs to be fiscal as well as all other areas.
Thank you very much. Ms. Palmer.
I really like the idea of autonomy at the school level. However, we have to understand with autonomy comes responsibility and accountability. So as long as we are holding our principals accountable for the funding and the decisions that they make, then I think they should have the autonomy to do as they see is necessary to educate each of the students in their schools.
We need a school board that believes in autonomy and decentralization. We need a superintendent that will implement policies that convey that autonomy and decentralization. We can start by having policies that promote it We can start by passing a budget that pushes down the responsibility on the schools, on individual schools, where the school leader can determine what budget they need and what they want to spend it on. We can do it by giving principals the power to hire who they want to hire, and by freeing those restraints and limitations that the school system has placed on it. And we can do it by having a school system, by having an administration that will provide our principals and our teachers with the support they need so that they can use that autonomy and leverage it for success.
Thank you. We'll now move to the closing statements. You'll have 2 minutes, and we'll start with Ms. Palmer.
Once again, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity this evening. As I said, my vision is I would like to see each of us prepared to get the school day right for our children. And by us, I mean everyone that touches a child each day in the system. That starts with the school board that you're going to elect on November the 5th. It goes to the central office staff, realizing that they are there to serve rather than being served. It also goes through our teachers, and we have to not forget our community and engaging our parents. We each need to be prepared that we want to create very well-rounded students, because it's about our academics, but it's also about the other wraparound things that our children bring. Mary Palmer is prepared. If you look at my resume, you'll see that I spent many years serving the students of APS. I'm a parent, but I've been part of many boards. I was a founding parent on the State Superintendent Parent Advisory Council. I'm an Atlanta Council of PTA's officer. I work with over 100 students each day, helping them with services, watching what they've learned and what they need to get to in order to go on to college. I work with athletes. When we get the day right, like I said, we'll make sure that our city is right, and we'll be able to make our system match the city in which we live in, which I believe is one of the greatest cities in this country.
Thank you for your patience and your time. We serve some of the brightest students in this entire country. I've been, as I mentioned before, into many different school districts, from New York to Detroit to South Carolina to Chicago. They're none better than those in Atlanta. And they deserve the best that we can give them. They deserve the best board who can bring change and support to them. Our parents deserve it, our communities deserve it, our teachers, our principals, our staff deserves the absolute best. I bring you experience, I bring you knowledge, I bring you the ability to get the job done, because I've done it before. I am an educator, as I said. I've written policy, I have written manuals, I've written books. I have brought to this district programming, planning to help students in the classroom. We need someone who understands children from the gifted to the special ed. We need someone who can come to you not needing on-the-job training. And that is what I bring to you. We have an achievement gap that's across the board. It's not just economic. We need someone who has the ability to come in and be able to look at that and to see where the changes need to be made. We need someone who has the desire to read every piece of paper that comes in front of them instead of just signing off. On November 5th, I ask for your support and I ask for your vote. Thank you.
All right, y'all, almost there. Before I conclude, I want to recognize my wife, Ariel, who's in the building, who's sitting in the audience. We have our 1-year anniversary in a couple days. And I'm very happy about that. A couple years ago, Ariel and I took a trip to Houston, Texas. We went to 4 different graduations, hot graduations, to see my kids graduate. 7 years ago, I taught 150 7th and 8th graders in Houston, Texas. Kids who were just as smart as you and I. When I saw them walk across the stage, I noticed something. Less than half of them graduated. These are kids that had no reason not to graduate, except for the fact that they did not have the opportunities in the public education system that you and I had. That's no different than what we have here in APS, where we have a 51% graduation rate. When you look at Latino males, when you look at African American males, it's much less than that. That's the thing, that's the statistics that you have the opportunity to change in this coming election. That's the statistic we have to change in this coming election. On November 5th, vote for a school board that will empower you. Vote for a school board that will direct resources to the classroom. Vote for a school board that will be open, transparent, and honest. Vote for me, Jason Estevez, seat 9, on November 5th. Thank you so much, and thank you for toughing it out for the whole night.